Greetings and welcome. My name is Mike Bankhead. I am your host. I am a bass player and songwriter from the Gem City, Dayton, Ohio. My guest on today's episode is Los Angeles-based musician Nina Nepa. She plays piano, she writes songs. You're going to learn about her process. Oh, and you'll learn a few other things about Nina on today's episode of the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. So, sit back, settle in, relax, and let's get to the conversation. Happy Wednesday, Nina.
Happy Wednesday, Mike.
You are currently not where you live.
No, I'm across the country in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up in my parents' house.
It's one of my favorite cities. I love going to PNC Park to see Pirates games.
Mm-hmm.
I love going to Permanis.
Oh, definitely. There's so much that Pittsburgh can offer that is kind of a big town feel, but also having the amenities of a city. And I feel really proud to be from here.
You should. So I will not talk about fond memories of Pittsburgh anymore because we are here to talk about you and the art that you make. So since I know you, but the audience does not, how about you officially introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Nina Nepa. I am 27. I'm a singer-songwriter, engineer, mad scientist. Joni Mitchell meets Bill Nye the Science Guy, I would say, is my aesthetic. I live in Los Angeles currently, and I play the piano and make music and do all sorts of stuff like that. So that's what I'd say, I guess.
That's very good. We're going to go in chronological order. Do you want me to start from now or start from then? I'll let you pick. I don't usually let the guest pick, but
We can start from then.
All right. What's the first song you can remember hearing in your whole life? So think back to, if you remember when you were in diapers, think back that far. What's the first song you can remember hearing?
So the first music, I used to listen to the Toy Story 3 score. We had a CD-ROM, because I'm not that young. And I used to listen to the score over and over and over again. So it was not only the, You've Got a Friend in Me, but it was also the Invader Galaxy intro that I just absolutely loved. And that's kind of what I used to go to sleep to all the time.
Would you believe I've never seen that film?
I would believe it since you said it.
Okay. Well, see, I'm going to have to go listen for that. And
the score is beautiful.
You are a pianist. How did you learn how to play piano?
Well, when I was in high school, my mom got a keyboard for my sister for Christmas, and she never touched it. Love her to death, but she's a beautiful poet. She never went to the piano, and so I started just messing around, and I listened to songs, and I would play along with the song. And so I just learned by ear, and I still play by ear today. I cannot read piano music, and that's really how I've trained my ear. I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like there's any way else to do it, because seeing all the notes on paper just is overwhelming. So I started with making little covers of my favorite songs, and that's before I was singing. So I just made instrumental covers and didn't share them with anyone.
How long did it take you to get around to sharing them?
In 2020, I guess, I lived with a musician, and in 2019, I wrote my first original song because I didn't play the piano in college. I was studying engineering, and so I didn't really have time to go mess around on the piano. And so I decided when I started working again that I wanted to, bring that back into my life. And I wrote my first song in 2019 and shared it with my roommate in 2020. And he said, maybe you should keep get out here and keep doing this a little bit. Maybe you should, basically he told me, you got to get over yourself and get out of your room. So that was the biggest push to share music with people, was just getting over myself and realizing, hey, what is the big deal? Why am I being so secretive when it's just a song? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? So he was really encouraged me to begin making and sharing music. And I think it was something that I've always been inclined to do, but have always pushed away. So that was the pandemic, and being with him, it just really helped me to finally give that final push and say, you know what, it really doesn't matter if somebody doesn't like your song. It's really, I think it's just really an ego thing. Getting over my ego that, oh, it's not going to be good enough. Oh, it's silly. Oh, this, that. No, it was just, I think I was just being silly, and I was restraining myself from doing what I really loved doing and was really naturally inclined to the whole time.
It's good that you realize that, like, you weren't 50 before you realized that. So, so that's good. I want to talk about 3 of your songs now. And I want to start with Down to Earth. I watched the live session YouTube video you did, which is very, very good, of course. And this one is about, I'll just read it from your description. Down to Earth is a ballad dedicated to my loved ones who have supported me during manic highs and depressive lows. Living with mental health conditions presents challenges, especially unique during these trying times. This video was out December 4th, 2020. We've had a once-in-a-century global pandemic recently, so trying times all around. Talk about that song, and also as little or as much as you want to say about living with mental health challenges.
Yeah, sure. So that song is specifically dedicated to my dad. And of course, it has all different lyrics now because, songwriters just edit. But so when I was in college in 2018, I had a near-death experience, and I had to go into an intensive outpatient treatment facility. And previous to that, I love my dad. He did his absolute best all the time. But in his family, they never told each other they loved each other. They didn't give hugs. That wasn't something that came naturally. And so when he had a really big wake-up call, when I told him that I had that experience and I had to go to this treatment facility. And so for the first time, he started calling me every day, and he started saying, I love you. And we had an entire shift in our relationship, and we grew a lot closer, and he grew a lot more emotionally vulnerable himself. And so originally on the what I want to do is record it. I have this voicemail from him that is a call that he made the day that day after I let him know. And it was really the first time, he was saying, we're here for you. We love you. We're here for you, whatever you need. And so that's at the end of the video. And that's what inspired the whole song, was him he and all of my other loved ones that have saved me through that. But the lyrics specifically are geared towards him and what he's done for me through all of that. And he has seen me through he has seen me through a lot of different phases. And so through all of those phases, he always says family is forever. We're always there for each other. And that was really in that point when I was going to that treatment facility. It was the first time that I felt like those words were there as well as the actions. And ever since then, we've been really close. And so, of course, I wrote that song when I was in a very high period, because I tend to write a lot of my songs when I like to call it up, 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 because all the words come out, everything flows, and I'm feeling creative, which is a gift and a curse, but I'm learning to have a more level approach. But sorry if I go off on tangents a little bit. My brain tends to say squirrel and then it just goes towards the squirrel. So excuse me if I just kind of go off on a tangent a little bit.
No, don't apologize. I want you to tell stories and talk about things. That's one of the reasons I write, right? Is to deal with the mental health challenges and internal issues and get some catharsis. So yeah, I get it. You've changed the lyrics to this song. Does that mean we might get a recording of it?
Yes, I have a recording of the most current version on YouTube now, but it is just me recording it with my phone and throwing reverb on it. So I would love to do a professional recording of it with my equipment. So maybe this is going to inspire me to actually get going and do it, because it's long overdue and it's such a special song to me that I feel like I would really love to share it with others that it might resonate with. And actually, that was the first song that I ever sang in public. That was my own song. And somebody that I became close with, his name's Andre Knox. He's a beautiful poet. He came over to me in the bar and said, I really needed that tonight. I have been having a difficult time and I really needed to hear that tonight. So thank you. And it just made me really get emotional, because I never, you really think, sometimes you think writing songs and doing music is such a self-absorbed activity, which it is, because you have to be a little self-absorbed to go into your craft. But it made me realize, hey, maybe this could actually benefit somebody else. And I had never thought about that before. And that was another moment where I thought, maybe I should share this stuff, because maybe somebody else might like it, or maybe it might do something for them.
You absolutely should. I would like to hear you talk about Game for Fools now. That's the one that you submitted for the 2022 NPR Tiny Desk contest. And I enjoy this video because I like cats, and your cat is just kind of wandering around while you're playing and singing, which is awesome. And based on the description, you've got a really cool story for this. So talk about Game for Fools, please.
Oh my gosh. So in July 2021, I joined this band with this guy who I thought had good intentions at the time, but I'll just be frank, he completely took advantage of me and my other bandmate, and it was an extremely unhealthy relationship. He was a huge bully. He was, I would say, extremely manipulative, gaslighting, anything that you would not accept in a romantic relationship. Those signs, those red flags that you look out for, he did that in a professional setting and in a professional relationship. And since I had never been in a band, I had never performed at this point, I had never performed in public. He knew that I did not know what was correct, what was the right way to go about it, what was normal in a band setting, what was normal for collaboration. And so at one point, I never got paid for anything. And at one point, he asked me to do live looping background vocals, piano, and extra synth, and live harmonizing, and make sure I never look at my keyboard, because that wasn't allowed. And so he actually ended up, I wrote lyrics for him for one of his songs. And then after he kicked me out because of, let's just say, creative differences, I told him, hey, let's make sure like we do a writing deal, co-writing, because I wrote these lyrics for you. And he sent back a documentation. First of all, he would not tell me what was in any of the themes of the documentation, and made me do a call with him where he presented all of these things, asked me to agree to all of these terms without me even seeing any documentation. So I said, hey, I can't agree to anything I haven't read. So I agreed to review all of the terms. Anyway, sends me a document that has these caveats that's saying that he was trying to sue me for $5,000 for if I talked about anything related to the band, anything at all. And he backdated it so that it went back before I even joined the band. So he basically was sending me a document that if I signed, which I didn't, he could sue me for $5,000 for talking about him. And I'm sitting here thinking, if you're an artist, you got to be able to handle people talking about you. That's the whole point. You got to be able to handle that. And so anyway, I said, no deal, just take out my work, and I don't want to be associated with you. I talked about it with different teachers that I had that were familiar with these deals, and they all said that he was trying to mess with me and it was not a fair deal. So I said, hey, take it out. He said, okay, why is this? You already agreed to this. I never agreed to anything. Long story short, he never took out the lyrics and released the song anyway. So currently he is using lyrics that I wrote for him, that I explicitly told him, do not use these lyrics. This is my work. Please take it out. So I wrote Game for Fools because the entire time that we were working together, he was playing this game. It was all this sick, twisted game with not only me, but my other bandmate. And so that song is directly about him and that experience, because I played with him, I played for him, and I was really just playing a game the entire time. I was never really playing music. It was just playing into his fantasy of what he wanted, which was control. So he really taught me to have a little bit more scrutiny over the people that I choose to collaborate with, and to watch after myself as a new artist, and just really work with people that just have good hearts instead, because that's really what it's about. You want to work with people that you care about, that you genuinely like and have fun with, not somebody that says they're going to do all of these things for you and don't follow through, not somebody that has an agenda, not somebody that has ulterior motives. He really pushed me. I think he thought that since he was kicking me out, that I was just going to flounder and do nothing and just stop doing music. But that really gave me the kick in the can to say, hey, I'm going to write even more than I ever have. And I wrote Game for Fools in about a day. And that weekend, I made the video and posted it to Tiny Desk, because I said, you know what? let's benefit off of this situation. And I love Tiny Desk. I'd always wanted to submit music. And so I figured, I guess it's the perfect time. I think this is the universe telling me that I need to do this. And it was really fun. And, I was going a little crazy in the middle of the night making the video, but I'm so glad that I did that. And now my other bandmate, his name's Paul. He plays on Uncharted, actually, one of the other songs. We play that song together and live. And so it's so rewarding to have come full circle and have Paul and I team up together, because this person is never going to take away what we hold so true to us. He's never going to stop us from doing what we love. And yeah, he really fueled the fire. And that song came out so quickly that I really have to thank him for inspiring that creativity, because without that experience, I wouldn't have written the song.
So terrible experience, but in the end, it worked out.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
You briefly mentioned Uncharted. That was, of course, the third song I was going to ask you about. That's one that, dear listener, you can find that on any service you stream music. Tidal, Apple, the Green People, wherever you stream music. Tell us about Uncharted.
So recently, this past year, I was doing a graduate program with Berklee College of Music, doing an online program with them because I had never really had formal music education. So I wanted to learn production skills. And so I applied to the program. Unbeknownst to me, was accepted. And so I was like, okay, well, another human is telling me that this is a green light. So the day I got my acceptance letter, I wrote Uncharted, which is about my transition from mechanical engineering into audio engineering and the music world. Because that's just something that I never would have thought I would do. And you always have this vision for who you think you're going to be in your life. And I ran as fast as I could in the other direction to find myself. And that was going towards music, running towards music, away from the person who I thought I was going to be, which was maybe a grumpy old engineer. I love engineering. I do love it. I miss it. And I would like to pursue more engineering, but I needed to make this change in order to reevaluate my life. And, you never really know if you're on the right path. So sometimes you just have to make a whole other path to realize, to even compare it to the other path. So I wrote Uncharted to describe that experience. And so it has some science jargon in it, which is, niche, but I think it's true to my engineering. And although it is about mechanical engineering, I do think the idea of a journey into finding yourself is universal to everyone, where you have to go somewhere to go find yourself. You have to venture off in order to explore. And so that is really how that song was inspired. And I also wrote that one in a day. I tend to write all of my songs in about a day. But, with Down to Earth, I wrote that. And then a year later was like, you know what? I think I'm going to make some more specific lyrics here to describe my dad driving me through a snowstorm.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, yeah, I think my lyrics are pretty specific generally. And it's not because I'm trying to isolate anyone or, not have a universal experience. It's just that I'm trying to paint a picture of what I'm trying to say. Because sometimes it's easier to see a picture of an analogy to describe how I'm feeling, I guess, versus then just say it. Maybe I'm hiding behind that picture, but that's just how I tend to go about it, is paint a story, and hopefully somebody can see themselves in it.
Oh, they say show don't tell. So I mean that's you're doing that.
Thank you so much.
Well, I want to get more into your process because we've touched on it. You just touched on it a little bit. So let me go more specific. When you sit down to write, what's the first tool that you reach for?
Well, I love Power Thesaurus. There's this app called Power Thesaurus, which it sounds silly, but usually I have songs going in my head all the time. There's just little melodies. So I'll grab at any point of the day, at all times, I will grab my phone, take a voice memo of the melody. And then when I feel words kind of come at any point, they can come when I'm in my bed, they can come when I'm in the bathroom, they can come when I'm just eating breakfast. They really just come at any time. So when I have the melody, I just start writing based off of a theme. So I think, what am I trying to talk about here? So for example, in Game for Fools, I wanted everything to be about a game. Okay, so what kind of game do I want to talk about? Oh, poker. Well, I'm betting on this opportunity to be something. So this is a gamble. And so I'm going to talk about poker. I'm going to talk about betting. And that's the game. So I really go off of a larger theme and then try to describe that theme within the song. And whenever I get stuck, I will just keep moving on. And then I'll go back and use Power Thesaurus to say, hey, what is a more powerful word I could use here? What would be more effective? And so I think that tool really helps me, because I will come up with different phrases and different words than I ever would have without it. And when it comes to the piano stuff, I write all of my music at the piano. And so sometimes I'll just mess around with chords that I don't know what they are. I never really know what chords I'm playing until I go back and look them up. So another major tool I use is called reverse chord lookup, because I make the song and I'm like, what am I playing here? I'm going to see what this chord is so that I can translate it to another artist to play with me, or if they're going to. And so sometimes I start with the piano, sometimes I start with the words. Generally, I start with a voice memo, and it goes from there. Did that make sense, or was that just a bunch of mumbo jumbo?
Oh, it made sense to me. Now, whether or not people who don't write music understood it, it's a different thing. No, it made perfect sense. That was a joke. So, when you were super young, you actually played saxophone. I got this from your bio.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which means at one time you did know how to sight read.
Yes, and I was in orchestra in high school, and it was the same thing where I would look it over and read it, strain to learn the song, and then just never look at the sheet again, because it was so much easier to just feel it than to read it. However, saxophone has one note at a time. That's the beauty of the alto sax, is there's one note that you're reading. There are no chords. There's nothing complex. And so if I look at a piece of music, I know what the letters are on the staff, But to translate that to an instrument is the reading, translating, instantaneous sight reading is a challenge. But yes, I did learn. That's how I learned what, like, notes are, and how to talk about pieces of music, I guess. And so we would play a bunch of things from Beethoven to Les Mis, and it was really fun.
What are the chances we get some saxophone on a future recording of yours?
Well, I'm going to have to go over to my cousin's house and steal his saxophone that I used when I was in school. So maybe I'll have to go over there and make a deal with him to get his saxophone back. Or even, invest in a new one. I loved playing the saxophone and it was so fun. I would love to do more saxophone now, but at the same time, I'm thinking, there are so many talented musicians that there are so many sax players that are so good at their craft, way better than I'll ever be. And meeting them and connecting with them and collaborating with them, I think would make such a much more powerful contribution than I could ever make if I picked it up again. I can't do everything. I could do surface level things at many things, but working with people and more people is a huge key to making something great.
So it's a little cliche, but the calendar just changed 2023 because in our culture we have decided to mark calendars the same way, and the year changed. So we're at the top of 2023. What do you plan to get done musically this year?
In February, I'll be releasing my second song called The Blues. It is a jazz song. I'm very, very excited about it. To be honest, it's my favorite song that I've written, and it'll be released right around Valentine's Day. So I'm really excited to share that. And then I have another song that will be released shortly after that called Pipe Dream, about, what is everything we're doing a pipe dream? Who knows? But so I'm planning on releasing a series of those songs, and then ultimately an EP a little down the line. So I have about 6 songs that are produced now that are just waiting to come out. I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear them. Last question. What did your childhood smell like?
Rain. I would say it smelled like, whenever there's the fresh rain in springtime and it smells like it smells like the earth is alive.
Yes.
That's what it smelled like.
Nobody that you know in Los Angeles knows what that smells like.
No, they barely even know what rain looks like. But it also smelled like anise, which is an ingredient in pizzelles that my grandmother used to make. So
are pizzelles cookies?
They are cookies, yes.
I'm a foodie, so I know a little bit about cookies. Because you're Italian.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Other than your website, which is ninanepa.com, where can I send people? Where should the lovely listeners go if they want to get to know you better or connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram at nina.nepa, and on everywhere else, it's just at Nina Nepa. So my social media, I have like TikTok and all that stuff. So you can find me there or on my website. And I would love to talk to you and talk about music or just your experiences. So
excellent. Thanks, Nina, for taking the time to talk to me today. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what you put out next.
Thank you so much, Mike. This was a real pleasure.
Thanks again to Nina Nepa for taking the time to speak with me. Thank you, dear listener, for being here. I can't wait to listen to what Nina has in store for us this year musically. And hey, Nina's not the only person who's going to release music this year. Your host, that would be me, Mike Bankhead, is going to release music this year. And I'd like to keep you updated on when that happens. The best way for you to find out what's going on with me musically is to join my mailing list. There'll be a link to it in the show notes. I warmly invite you to sign up, and that way you'll be able to keep track of what's going on with me musically. Everyone have a lovely weekend. I'll see you next week.